Good afternoon, Skolgers. How we all doing after yesterday's game? I'll tell ya, it stung. It definitely stung. My goodness. I think most of us are going to be in agreement that defensive performance by the Vikings was, in no other word that I can think of, pathetic. It was pathetic. It was embarrassing. And, I expected it to be a shootout. I knew that, it was going to be problematic for the Vikings defense. Jared Goff's been playing well. That entire offense for the Lions have been playing well. And with the key injury, especially Harrison Smith being out, it was still worse than I expected. I mean, the Vikings with that have now given up 5 straight games of allowing 400 plus yards. And it was like there was just no answer. No answer for anything that Detroit did. Jared Goff stood in the backfield facing virtually zero pressure for the entire game, and he looked elite. He really did. And our secondary looked like burnt toast. That's about the only way that you can describe it. It was atrocious. And it's unfortunate the way it went down. Vikings lose 34-23 on the road. And what's so unfortunate is because of the game that some of our, guys on offense put together. I mean, Kirk Cousins had arguably his best game as a Minnesota Viking. Let's start there. Kirk Cousins, 31 of 41. 425 yards passing. Keep in mind that a couple of those incompletions should have been caught, including the Hawkinson third down drop on the sideline that was absolutely abysmal. Complete killer. Obviously it ends the drive. That's a fresh set of downs. It doesn't, he's wide open. Perfect ball. I don't know if he got worried about his feet or what, but just a straight drop. Hawkinson's had a couple of those, which is unfortunate because overall I think he's been a very good addition for the Vikings, but there's been a couple drops. You think back to Dallas, and then with this one, this was a crucial drop because it stalls the drive. It ends the drive. Kirk Cousins 31 of 41 for 425 yards and 2 touchdowns, no picks. No, I don't even know if he made many mistakes at all. Most of his passes were just on the money. He looked incredible. Kirk played so well. He balled out. And surprise, surprise, Justin Jefferson balling out as well. Justin Jefferson with a franchise record in yards, 11 catches for 223 yards, which also should have been more. Let's talk about the we'll get to that. We'll come back to that because Adam Thielen also had a nice game. Adam Thielen with 7 catches for 65 yards, had a touchdown as well. On the 4th down, too. He went forward on 4th down, Adam Thielen. Beautiful touchdown. Osborne had a decent day with 5 catches and a touchdown. And then there was some of the problems with the offense. Start with the obvious one, Dalvin Cook. He had the early touchdown. Looked like, things were going to be looking well for us. But I don't know what happened there against a bottom of the league rushing defense in Detroit. Could not get anything going. It was brutal. Dalvin Cook finished with 15 carries for 23 yards. That's a 1.5 yard average. against one of the league's worst rushing defenses. It just, nothing worked. Run up the middle, get stuffed. He tried way too many runs up the middle where he would get stuffed. I feel like they didn't try and bounce it to the outside very often. But then, the head scratcher. The end of the first half, just over a minute to go. It's 1st and goal at the 2-3 yard line. I mean, it's just the perfect time to then call a run play up the middle, right? It's 1st down. You only got to get 2-3 yards. And there's a whole minute on the clock that you want to try and wind down because we get the ball back to start the second half. You don't want to give Detroit the ball back the way our defense bends. Bend, don't break is the whole saying for the defense. But you don't want to give them the ball back with too much time. So why not take a run up the middle? This one was just, they got too cute. They got way too cute with it and tried the Derrick Henry special. You toss it back to the running back who looks like he's going to run forward, but then he tries to, throw one over the top. In this case, Dalvin was going to throw it over the top to Johnny Munt, who was open, but I haven't watched the playback since it happened because I don't want to see it again. But, I mean, I don't know what the hell he was doing, but he straight up fumbles it. And it's recovered by Detroit. Major head scratcher there. Trying to get way too cute. Way too cute. Way too cute. And that was such a big turning point in the game that would have, brought us with an extra point shot at tying the game. It was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. And then, as far as the offensive struggles, that offensive line, granted, we were missing Darisaw, and we were missing Bradbury. We need to have an honest conversation about Ed Ingram. I think that I've talked about it, I believe, on the podcast, but he's a liability out there at the guard position. I mean, it's just it's hard to watch sometimes, and we were getting the brakes beat off of us at times. Hutchinson on Detroit, that kid, it looks like he's going to be a good ball player. The rookie looks like he's going to be a very good ball player. Already is, and he was feasting and getting pressure. And it's not like it was quite as bad as other games that we've seen. It wasn't the Dallas game as far as our offensive line goes, but it was still pretty rough, especially when you can't get the running game going. Kirk's trying to do everything he can with his arm, and still was very successful through the air. But with the offensive line and Dalvin Cook just not getting anything done, it made it hard for Kirk Cousins, who still managed, like I said, 425 yards. But the real problem is obviously that defense. I am so sick and tired of watching the Vikings play this soft-ass zone blanket coverage. Just no aggression. They just drop back. They're already 10 yards off the receiver and drop back in this big giant cushion and leave the middle of the field wide open for the taking. You don't see many teams do that unless it's the freaking end of the game and they're playing a damn near a prevent D. And then it feels like the Vikings are playing prevent D the entire game. They're just giving up everything. I mean, how many 3rd and 9s did the Vikings give up to? Goff was he's just having a field day. Jared Goff could essentially close his eyes and just throw it, and someone will be there to catch it because the Vikings are nowhere in sight. I mean, that's how it started out with Jamison Williams getting his first touchdown. I mean, both of their first 2 touchdowns, Detroit, you had a 41-yard pass to Jamison Williams, not a Viking in sight, and then a 48-yard pass to DJ Chark. Like, where's the coverage? Harrison Smith being gone clearly has a horrendous impact because, yikes. it's unfortunate to see that every quarterback that we play, we just make them look like prime Aaron Rodgers, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers this year. We got that at least. But it's like everyone looks elite against us. Mike White looked elite. Mac Jones looked elite. Jared Goff looked elite. I don't know what we need to do. And obviously all of us, or a lot of us on Twitter especially, trying to get the hashtag Fire Donatel trending. And I'm right there with you. And I came across this tweet that I thought was kind of interesting, because the argument to be made about, obviously not firing Ed Donatel in December when you're 10-3 and going to win the division. Like, let's be honest, the Vikings are going to win the division. That's what's going to happen. But firing him in this situation, could be, problematic, depending on how the players would react and who would step in his role. And I came across this tweet that was kind of interesting. A few people have pointed out there is precedent for Super Bowl contenders firing coordinators in December, namely the 2012 Super Bowl winning Ravens, who fired offensive coordinator Cam Cameron after Week 14, which was on December 10th, and promoted Jim Caldwell. Food for thought. I don't know who we would promote, but can we honestly say that they could do a worse job? Because right now, it's been a problem all season. We know this. But yesterday was just a complete shit show. And something's got to change, because I said this on Twitter. I've said it before. And now I know a lot of you are going to be thinking the same thing as me, but I'm going to put it out there right now. With the way that this defense is, the Vikings do not make it out of the first round of the playoffs. The way that our defense is playing, the Vikings will squander an opportunity as a 10-3 football team with, now a very outside shot at the number 1 seed. Probably not going to happen because of yesterday. The Eagles won pretty handedly, the Vikings losing. But, the number 2 seed at least. The Vikings are going to squander this opportunity and be bounced in the first round to a team like Seattle or Washington or, whoever squeaks in. Or the Lions. The Lions are knocking on the doorstep. The Lions are 1 game back of the wild card spot with the Giants losing. Detroit is right in the mix. They've won 5 of 6, and I truly believe that the Lions are better than their record suggests. They've found their rhythm. And I don't think that anyone should want to play the Lions. Teams should be afraid of the Lions right now. That's why I said this was going to be our hardest test the rest of the season. We're still going to win the division. I absolutely think that we beat the Colts on Saturday and the Giants. And we could beat the Packers and the Bears. There's a good chance we could still win out. We're still got that offense. We're still a good football team. But right now, when January comes and it's playoff time, even if we're at home, we play a team that has a real solid offense like Detroit has right now. We don't make it out of that first round. And that is a horrible thought that we have to live with right now, because that's our reality if we don't fix something in a hurry. Kevin O'Connell said that we need to work on the aggressiveness, that we got to be more aggressive. 100%. 100%. Yesterday, I would say, obviously, coaching all around was terrible, but probably O'Connell's worst coached game, possibly. Going for 2 in that position, I don't like that. That just put us in more of a hole. And then on top of that, I don't like the decision to go for an onside kick with 3 minutes left, 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning, because you put them right in field goal range. Granted, our defense couldn't really stop them anyways, so maybe that's what his thought process. But give them a chance, I guess, because they put them basically right in field goal range where they got And then we got the ball back, granted with like 15 seconds left, but it was a 2-score game at that point because they made the field goal. So I don't understand that one. And another thing that burned the Vikings is when they tried to get off the field. They finally make a stop and they give up a fake punt, a 42-yard fake punt, which is beautifully executed. Great time to call it for Detroit. I thought that was very smart of them. But regardless, just a killer for the Vikings. It's not panic time. The Lions are a good team. This is not a time to panic. But this is a time that we need to reevaluate what we're doing on defensive, as a defensive scheme. I would love to see Donatel go, personally, just because I've not been a fan of him this entire season, but something needs to change, and in a hurry, because, there's 4 games left. We got 4 games left before it's the real deal. And the disappointment that every Vikings fan will feel if we go one and done it'll just be another notch on the Minnesota Vikings pain belt. We all know and hate that feeling, but we're trending towards that again if we don't fix our defense. Jared Goff, 27 for 39, 330 yards, 3 touchdowns, absolutely cooked us. The running game was kind of non-existent, minus the Justin Jackson touchdown for them, but across the board for the Lions, DJ Chark, 6 catches, 94 yards, touchdown. Amon-Ra, St. Brown, 6 catches, 68 yards. Josh Reynolds, 5 for 51 and a touchdown. Jameis Williams, 1 catch for 41 yards and a touchdown. Jared Goff had a field day. I hope that this humbles the Vikings a little bit. I hope that it lights a fire, because it's a damn shame to waste such an incredible performance by Kirk and JJ. It really was. The two of them, they had it. They absolutely had it. And I don't know. The offensive line needs to get healthy. We need Harrison Smith to get healthy. We need a guy like Patrick Peterson to sit these young guys down and say, get aggressive. Granted, it's not his call, but get aggressive for God's sakes. Because I don't want to be one and done. I don't want this to be another complete and utter failure. There's a lot of expectations for this team. And for me, I think that for a lot of people, it's NFC Championship or bust. But right now, there's a very real possibility that we don't make it out of the first round. I'm not giving up, obviously. I will not give up hope. But damn it, we need to fix something. Saturday, big test. They need to just clinch the division. Do it at home, and then get to work. Get to work. Fix that defense. Get healthy. We need to do it. We cannot have a first-round exit. That would be a complete waste of a season. We'll talk more throughout this week as we get closer to game day. But I'm fired up. We should be. The Vikings should be. O'Connell, you got it. You got some shit to figure out. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. I will talk to you guys later this week as we prepare for Indianapolis on Saturday. Skol. Fix your defense, Vikings.